Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, I am going to be giving my honest thoughts on many of the big free agency signings so far. Now, I know I've updated you guys through, my TikTok posts, but I haven't been able to actually talk and, give my thoughts on a lot of these things. So today, that's what we're doing. And if we're lucky, we'll get a piece or two of breaking news during the video like we did on Monday. However, before we hop into it, I got my plug, so don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel or Prize Picks, where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or match up to $100 of your first deposit. But that's all I got. Let's get into talking about free agency. So kicking off today's video, we're just going to quickly talk about Russell Wilson again, because he is, officially going to be a Steeler now next season. Apparently, again, I am in the minority here of people who actually support this move. Either I'm seeing something that a lot of people aren't, or I'm just incredibly dumb, probably that, but I don't think he's a bad quarterback, and a matter of fact, I am absolutely certain he is better than anybody the Steelers have had since prime Big Ben. Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges, you name them, Russ is better than all of them. You're getting an incredibly talented and smart quarterback paired with one of, well, historically the better coaches in the league. I'm not sure about Tomlin anymore, and I know he doesn't run offense, but I'm just saying a pairing of that usually makes for great things. So I'm all for it. Next up, I'm going to talk quickly about the Jaguars taking Gabe Davis. Look, Gabe is not a bad receiver. But if you think getting rid of Calvin Ridley and replacing him with Gabe Davis is all you need to do to make that offense pop, you are sorely mistaken. Now, while he might be talented, he is so inconsistent. And I don't mean inconsistent like he's bouncing between 50 and 100 yards every game. I'm talking inconsistent like he will throw up 110 yards and then 0. Certain games it looks like he has a spark, and certain games it looks like he's not even trying to get separation. As much as I respect this man's time in Buffalo, if it hadn't been for that playoff game versus Kansas City or that one crazy game versus Pittsburgh, people wouldn't know who he is. And what I mean by that is, like, this wouldn't have been the news that it was. This would have been looked at like Josh Reynolds signing with a team. Next up, why don't I get my heart out about Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons? You know what? Fuck you, Kirk, you little bitch! You filthy, scummy, slimy, two-faced, backstabbing, root-tootin' piece of I'm just kidding. I respect his decision to take a chance somewhere else. I guess I respect his decision to get as much money as he possibly could, even though he said he wanted to stay in Minnesota and didn't care about it. I'm a little salty about that, but he's a good dude. He has been hated on for every decision he has made his entire career. He has been hated on for everything he has ever done, all while putting on above average performances, if you're asking me. He has shown this state nothing but love and respect, and that is exactly what I'm going to return to him. I hope he does well. I hope the Falcons do well. I think they will, and I'm very confident Kyle Pitts and Drake London are both about to go nuclear. It's just gonna hurt to watch it, you know what I mean? Jail. Jail. Moving on, we got Saquon going to the Eagles. My thoughts on this is that's an awful lot of money to help push Jalen into the end zone. Just kidding. My actual thoughts are good for Saquon. I think he will be good in that offense, but Giants fans are being babies about this. He stabbed us in the back. He's a piece of shit, this and that. No, he's not. You guys didn't make an honest attempt to retain him. Of course he's gonna walk away. Of course he's gonna take the deal he's been saying he's wanted for like the last 3 years. And as far as him going to a division rival, that's football, man. It's kind of just how it works sometimes. You'll see it more than once in this video, like, grow up. Matter of fact, why don't we get another one out of the way right now? Jordan Poyer went to the Dolphins. Okay, now this crosses the line. I am gonna call every resident in the Miami area to slash this man's tires to shit in his mailboxes. Again, all satire. Jordan Poyer, I love you to death, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck going forward in Miami. Be kind to him. You got a hell of a leader, and you got a guy who will risk his entire life to make a play. You got a guy who will deny pain that he is in so he can go out on the field and play for you. You're getting someone who can hit as hard as anybody, and you're getting someone who is as smart as anybody. Guarantee you more than one time you're gonna say, wow, I'm glad we got him this year. Next up, we got the Texans trading for Joe Mixon. I can't do this. Really? This is what you do? No, it was only a 7th round pick. Excellent value. The trade value, excellent. But that's not what you could have done so much better than Joe Mixon. You're getting a guy who's on the ending slope of his career. And Houston, you know I love you. But this was not the best decision unless you draft a running back going forward. Him and Dameon Pierce? Ugh. Next up, we got another running back signing. It's Tony Pollard going to the Titans. No, I don't like this either. I don't. I would have ran with Tajay Spears this year. I would have given him the full workload and just drafted someone to sit behind him. Last year, Tony had a shot to be the #1 guy, and he didn't perform all that well. And now you're putting him on a team with a quarterback who is still completely undeveloped in an offensive line that might be improving, but still isn't as good as Dallas. I just don't think this will benefit either of you. This one is great. Oh man, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson going back to Philadelphia. Every one of those fans that were telling him to stay out of their city to watch his back. All those big bad keyboard warriors now have to tuck their tails between their legs, go back, delete everything they ever said, and kiss his ass. I'm disappointed he didn't stay in Detroit. I think he is a good talent. Obviously, he will help Philadelphia. But this whole thing is hysterical to me. Next up, we got Danielle Hunter going to the Texans. I love this move. I mean, I hate it, but I love it. I mean, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, that's gonna be crazy. I did see it's like a 2-year, $49 million deal or something. It's a good chunk of change, but if Danielle Hunter stays healthy and plays the entire season, well, this last year is a good taste of what he is going to do. Texans defense is gonna be stacked next year, dude. Like, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be an issue. I bet you that team leads the league in sacks. I don't know if I'll dial it in for sure, but right now I'll say that's my hot take right now. Or maybe it's not even hot, but that's my take. Good for you, Texans. Enjoy him. Moving on, we got Patrick Queen going to the Steelers. Another backstabbing, root-tooting, yellow-belly, sap-sucking. I don't even know if that's PG. Shut up. The man happens to be going to another team in your division. So what? Also, this is very good for Pittsburgh. I was thinking Houston was going to pick him up, but this could be the next best thing for him. You're putting an elite linebacker on an already elite defense. I'd be surprised if he doesn't do great things in Pittsburgh. Next up, we got the Panthers completely blowing it, if you ask me. I know I kind of gave good thoughts on this one in my TikTok, but I think this was so stupid of them. They traded Brian Burns for a 2nd and a 5th and a pick swap. And then the Giants signed him to a $150 million contract. I mean, I would have paid him that if I was the Panthers. I would have wanted him on my defense. But if I was going to trade Brian Burns, I'm not sure what I would have gotten, but it would have been more than a 2nd and a 5th and an additional pick swap. So in this offseason, the Panthers defense has now lost Brian Burns, Deontay Johnson, who we are about to get to, and Jeremy Chin, who just went to the Commanders. Like, what the hell? And now we got the Steelers trading Deontay Johnson for Dante Jackson. And I think they pick swap too or something like that. Either way, this is more of a heads up trade. And I actually like this trade for both sides, honestly. Now, I'm not going to say this means Pittsburgh won't draft a corner, but this does take some pressure off of them in the draft. And it also gives Carolina, and more importantly, Bryce Young, a wide receiver who is under the age of 65 and still holds elite capabilities. Deontay Johnson, I do believe, can still be very good. Well, let me fix that. I think he still is very good. It's just he's been fighting alongside George Pickens with terrible quarterbacks, which I know Bryce is still not developed, but you're asking me, all eyes are going to be on those two this year, and no matter how Bryce does, Deontay is going to get fed. This should work out for both teams. Now we got Leonard Williams signing a 3-year extension with Seattle. Good move on their part. I would have done anything to keep him around myself. And on top of that, there would have been no reason to let a player like him go. That would have just opened up another hole for you in the draft, which you don't want to have to waste a pick on. In other news about the Seahawks, and more catastrophic news, Drew Lock will not be returning to them. He went to the Giants. So rest in peace to that era. Now, just talking about the Vikings really quick before we get into running back alley, because we have 7 more running backs to do. Well, 6 after this. But the Vikings have made some actual pretty good moves aside from Sam Darnold, who I'm still pissed about. So from Houston, they got both Jonathan Grenard, who's the edge. They swapped edge rushers, actually. And linebacker Blake Cashman. Not complaining about either of those, and I think it's cool to see Blake return to Minnesota. He was born here and went to college, so don't get all on me because he didn't play in the NFL here, you well-technically-ers. On top of that, yet another division rival swapped, and this time it was Aaron Jones, who was released by Green Bay and the next day signed with the Vikings. This one I love. We'll get into why I love it a little bit more later, but I still have a lot of belief in Aaron Jones. I think he's still got 2 years left in the tank, and not only are you getting a running back, but you're getting someone who can catch the ball at any time as well, man. I'm excited to see him in purple. Next up, we got Josh Jacobs going to the Packers, and this is why I love the Aaron Jones to Minnesota move so much more, because in my eyes, Green Bay signed a worse running back than Aaron Jones and then cut Aaron Jones. I say this a million times, I don't think Josh Jacobs is bad, but I think he's just above average, and I think Aaron Jones has a much higher ceiling, and I think he's a much better runner. I think statistically that can be proven too. 7 years in the league, Aaron Jones has never averaged under 4.6 yards a carry. 7 years? He's also a good pass catcher too, and not that Jacobs can't do it, but Aaron Jones, know, again, when he avoids injury, he's 400 yards and 5 touchdowns a year. I just think Green Bay literally downgraded with this move. Up next, we got DeAndre Swift going to the Bears. This one's kind of to me. I think he's kind of like Jacobs the way I look at him. I think he is above the average running back, but I don't think he is top 10 spectacular, you know, fireworks shooting out of his ass every game. He'll provide a good spark to that offense, I don't doubt it, and he can also catch the ball, which will help Fields in a flash, or sorry, Caleb Williams. But I just don't think it's gonna be a game-changing signing. Next up, we got Austin Ekeler going to Washington. He is quite literally just a replacement for Antonio Gibson. Like, that is what he's there to do. Catch the ball, you know, occasionally, maybe get a carry or two a game. I know it's more than that, but he'll sit behind Brian Robinson, and that's where he should, because the way he ended last year, he has a lot to prove before he can consistently be running that football again. It's a liability. After that, we got Zach Moss going to the Bengals. Good for them. I expect them to draft a running back at some point, but Zach Moss, as we saw last year with the Indianapolis Colts, he can play, he can run. I think if anything, Zach Moss is living proof that the way Buffalo handles running backs, well, up until James Cook arrived, relatively terrible. That'll bring us to Devon Singletary signing with the Giants, another former Buffalo running back, former as well, like Zach Moss. This is a signing that I'm a big fan of, though, because I like Devon. Call him underrated in Buffalo. I called him underrated all last year. I think he's one of the most consistent runners in the league currently, and now he's going to get another chance to have a very prominent role in an offense going forward. Now, again, I kind of expect New York to pick up a running back, but Devon is still going to get a lot of playing time this year, and if he continues to do what he's been doing, there's no reason he won't continue to get playing time. And ending today, we got Derrick Henry on the Ravens. I just want to say, if I missed anybody or anybody who's about to get announced that I missed, if you guys want to see another part of this, smash the like button and I will make sure to try and get a second part done. But my thoughts on Derrick Henry to the Ravens, like I kind of said in my TikTok reaction, is that it's what needed to happen there. Everybody saw it coming from a mile away. I think it's the only one I got right in my free agency prediction video, but it needed to happen. They needed a running back, and he needs a chance to finish off with a ring, and this is the best shot that he probably could have given himself. Obviously, the Chiefs or whatever. I'm just saying the Ravens are a great team. They were this close last year. Putting Derrick Henry in that offense might just seal the deal. So good luck to the King, and as long as you don't destroy Buffalo in the process, I'll support you. And that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen, for my full thoughts on most of the major free agency signings. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too repetitive. That's my fear about making it. But again, let me know in the comments if you want to see a part 2. And in the meantime, I'm going to get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. Show me any support. You guys know I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.